Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use AWS SES emails with advanced email templates for dynamic data. So as you are aware, with using AWS SES, we can build a customized advanced email templates, and that template can be reused to send emails with the dynamic data. Okay, for example, you have a business application where after the transaction, you need to send a email with the dynamic data to your customers. Okay, so in that case, this advanced email template option from the AWS SES service, which comes very handy. Okay, so this is an example solution which can help you to use that features from SES, and also it also gives you a way of customization that you can do with AWS SES for emailing solutions. Okay, so all right, so with that note, I'm going to explain this demo into two parts. The first part, I'm going to walk you through the design explanation of my solution, and the second part, I'm going to walk you through the code and finally show you the setting the solution, and also we see how does this advanced email templates sends the dynamic data, right? I'm just give you an example solution which actually mimics the maybe the business application requirement from your side, right? All right, so before I walk you through the first part of the demo, a kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. So with that note, we can just directly jump to the first part of the demo, right? So where I'm gonna show you how you can set a solution with using advanced email template, right? So here I'm gonna walk you to the actual solution here. For example, let's say here you have a customer who wants to view the email which contains dynamic data in it. Yeah, for example, say a customer who bought your products and you want to send, okay, so he wants to know, or you want to send invoice to him. Okay, so that invoice changes from customer to customer. Okay, so in that case, SES email solution can be used. Okay, where you are leveraging AWS SES advanced email templating feature. Okay, for example, so in that case, you have you are the developer, you want to set up that solution. Okay, so here let's say in this case I am, okay, so in this case I'm the solution architect, for example. Okay, I'm designing the solution with using AWS Lambda. Yeah, so first I create AWS Lambda, write a logic in a such a way that it actually does your emailing solution. Okay, basically here the explanation looks to be very complex, but the solution is very simple, and it actually covers the broader requirement as well, right? So here I'm using AWS Lambda with runtime Python, and also I'm using AWS DynamoDB as well. So I'm going to explain you that how does it. So basically in AWS Lambda, I'm going to write a logic such a way that it will dynamically create a SES template which is required for our business, for example, right? And then I'm also going to create a DynamoDB table. That table going to contain or going to host the records needed for our sending the email, right? And then I'm going to also write a logic in the Lambda such a way that it actually extracts some example dynamic data. So here I'm going to use Python news APIs and extract the news on particular search string, right? For example, cricket, football, right? So you want to know the news which is there on the internet for this search string, right? And that news that I'm going to use, so that just to mimic the business case, I'm just using here the news API. So I'm going to extract the news dynamically, then use those news as a dynamic data, feed into the SES template, right, with referencing, and also send an email with referencing the data being stored in the DynamoDB to the business user. Okay, so this DynamoDB going to host your subscriber. For example, there are the subscriber who wants to know the email in their email address dynamically, right? So in this case, this is the solution which actually mimics it. Okay, so if I can reiterate, right, so we have a AWS Lambda that contains a logic in a such a way that, and also we have a DynamoDB, right? So DynamoDB is hosting the subscriber of your automation or subscriber of your solution, where the dynamic email will be sent to the subscribers. Okay, and here this Lambda actually creates a dynamic SES template. Yeah, nothing but a SES template which actually being written to support the dynamic data based emailing, right? And this, whenever this Lambda runs, it queries the DynamoDB table gets the gets the email, gets the two email address, and also and also it contains a search string in the sense in which type of news that you would like to know. In the sense, a particular subscriber, for example, XYZ subscriber, needs to know email belongs to, or needs to know the news belongs to the search string, or just any kind of news on the certain search string. Okay, and that data will be kept in the DynamoDB, right? So this Lambda will get that data, and it will going to hit the news APIs to search the news belongs to that particular search string. You got a dynamic data now. Now what you do is you're gonna again go back to the SES, use that template, feed that dynamic data being retrieved from here, and add the CC address being retrieved from the DynamoDB table, and finally send an email to the respective user, right? And the user will have the email in their inbox, and from there they can see the news. Okay, basically this is the design of my solution. Okay, now I'm going to walk you through the Lambda. Okay, so because here the core part, in the sense the core job of this automation is done by this Lambda, and the Lambda is written in Python, right? So I'm going to walk you through that code, and finally I'm going to set this solution and show the dynamic emailing as well, right? Okay, so now let me take you to my code first one. So this is my Python code, and this Python code will be shared in my GitHub repo. GitHub repo will be shared in this video description. You can find this code from there, and you can just mimic the demo, right? All right. So basically, this is the Lambda handler function. Basically, this is a code which is written to run in AWS Lambda, and that's the reason you see the function contains Lambda handler, a class. In this class, I have written all the functions which are needed for my the dynamic news sending email solution. Okay, so sending the news in the form of email, right? So all those logics required to achieve that solution is been written here, and then right, so and then basically this class and this Lambda handler function makes this complete Lambda, or makes this complete business logic. Yeah, so here I am importing certain Python modules. One is the import date, time zone, blah blah blah, right? And then I'm importing news API, right? I'm just using the news API module, importing news API clients, right? Importing the Boto3 module. Then we are using the Boto core JSON. All right. So basically these are the modules. Okay. So here date, JSON, Boto3 are natively available in the AWS Lambda, but the news API will not be available. For that case, I have already created a Lambda layer, and Lambda layer needs a Python zip file to create it. This file also will be shared in this GitHub repo's description, in this GitHub repo, which is present in this description. The URL can be found in this video's description. You can find it from there, right? Okay, so with that note, I'm going to walk you through this code and see how does it works. Yeah. So in the Lambda handler, so whenever there is a runtime happens, whenever this Lambda runs, it runs always from the Lambda handler, right? So basically it executes, it will print the statement called execution started. Then we are creating the object of the class, which is the class which I have created above, and this object will be used to call those functions within the class, that is news email. First one is create update email template, right? So before that, I'm just walk you through the define init function. Okay, define init function is a function which gets automatically invoked whenever you are creating an object of this class. Okay, that is for your information. So in this init function, since this function is no need to call, right, because it will get automatically invoked whenever you create an object. So here, we are creating a client of AWS DynamoDB with using Boto3 modules, right? And the region belongs to US East region. We are also creating a table. I'm just creating a client of my DynamoDB table, and the DynamoDB table name will be new subscriber. I'm going to help you through that how you can create a DynamoDB table as well. And this is the news API key. So basically, this is an example news API key which you need to subscribe, or which is needed to get the news from the news from the Python news API, right? All right, and then next one is the SES. Okay, so basically we have three clients, that is DynamoDB. Then you have the basically the client belongs to belongs to the SES Dynamo, right? And you have a news API, right, and table. Yeah. So these are the things that happens in the init, right? And then after that we are using the object and invoking a function called create update email template, right? So as name says, create update email template. So this is the core part of the demo. Have a patience here and check it properly. So here, what I'm doing is I'm using AWS Boto 3 client of SES and creating SES email template. Okay, so to create a SES template, I'm just using the Boto 3 SES clients API called create template and update template. So update template and create template gets invoked based on the situations. Okay, for example, when you are invoking this function, you are not feeding any parameters. Here, we are just checking whether the template exists or not. Here the template is news API result mail. Okay, I'm just giving some dummy name for my template. Yeah, and the response of this template will be checked whether that response content template and the HTTPS status code equal to 200 or not, right? And then we are invoking the with using the SES client, invoking a update template, right? So this is the during the update operations. But here the important thing is, you need to understand how the create works. Okay, so basically I'm going to go to the exception block, right? You see I'm using try catch block, try except block. So basically create operation happens from the except block. Yeah, so in the create template, so you see it is very simple syntax, that is create template. It has a parameter called template. In the template we are declaring 4 parameter again, that is called template name, subject part, HTML part, and the text part. Okay, so in the template name we are just giving this template name. Subject part is in the subject, this is the new subject basically. So since we are sending an email, so email has certain the characteristics. Okay, so it has a subject, it has a salutation, it has the body, it has the final final salutation or say regard, something like that. Yeah, and that format will be that kind of email template will be given here, as simple as that. Okay, so basically that's the reason subject line will be constructed here, and then in the HTML, so and after that the body salutation, and then then the salutation and body of the email will be constructed in the HTML part, right? So basically HTML and template part are both same. As HTML part says, it is actually covers the actual HTML part, in the sense basically the web development HTML, right? So if you are aware of the static page, that is static web page called HTML, right? And that's the format being used here. So here we are using a HTML we are opening the HTML and closing the HTML down the line here. In between HTML objects we are creating multiple things. Okay, one is we are building a style in the header, right? In the head we are adding a style, right? And we are closing the header here, right? You see I'm doing this one, so style is being closed here. And so if I can do like this, it should be visible, so I'm just align it, right? So now if you see the head, okay, so the head is been created, and underneath the head we are creating some style, right? And after that body, right? In the body what I'm doing is, again we are using the same HTML format and framing a salutation called hello username, right? And if you see here in the username, so this is where the actual magic happens in the email template, where your dynamic data, I said when I explaining about what is the advanced SES template is nothing but those templates are very dynamic. You can feed the dynamic data into it and the same send the email. Every new email with the dynamic data will have a different data, even the format is same or template is same, but it contains a different data when you send to a different customers, right? And that's way. So here for example you want to send a data to a user, and that data is a dictionary, for example, say, right? Yes, it will be a dictionary. So in that dictionary there will be a key called username, right? And in that, so that is how so for example let's go with this one, right? So here as I say I'm using a news API, right? So when I hit the news API, it is sending a response in this format, right? So basically the response is nothing but a dictionary, that is a Python dictionary. It contains key called status, total results, and articles, right? So here first 2 key values are nothing but normal dictionary key values. The third one key is a list type of data, right? So it basically other 2 are string and this is a list. So and the list of what? List of dictionaries again. So underneath each articles, in the sense basically you have a news articles and there are list of news articles, right? That's what it means. So basically articles is nothing but, it's a list of articles. Underneath the list of articles, you have one article, and the article has its own, dictionary, and that dictionary contains keys like source, author, title, description, URL, right? So this is the one article. This is the second article. If you see, it contains a source, author, description, blah blah, right? So if I go to third as well, you go wherever it is. Okay, basically it is following a certain pattern, in the sense, this is a list of dictionary, and the dictionary has its own constant key value definitions. Okay, and that's that, if your data format is something like this, then only it is qualifies to send, or it qualifies to use it in a SES template. That's a very, very important note, right? So basically wherever I am referencing the two flower bracket open and two flower bracket closed, in between whatever the string name, whatever the string I'm giving, that is username, should be belongs to the data which you are feeding while you are sending an email, right? And that is where it comes. In the sense, for example, when you say send email with this template and this is my data, and that data needs to have this username as a key in the dictionary, right? That is the thing that this is how I'm trying to help you to understand what is this. Okay, and in this one, so this is the body, starting of my email body, where the first line of the email says below are the news on the search string. This is the search string. So basically this is the search string, I'm just feeding it into the same email, and this is the date. Okay, yeah, and then down the line, what we are doing is we are creating a table, that is a HTML table, right? So you might have seen any the web application page which contains table. Okay, this is how it constructed with using HTML page. The first row of the table is nothing but table headers. Okay, generally we call it as a table headers. So table headers contains some static data in it, that is a source ID, source name, author, title. What are these? So basically these are pointed to here, in the sense source is being mapped to source, author is mapped to author, title, description, URL, whatever. So here if you see here, in each article or each dictionary has 9 keys values. Okay, 9 key and value pairs. So those 9 key and value pairs names or key values will be kept here, that is source ID, source name, author, title, description, blah blah. Okay, and that is been kept at the header, and this header is been covered with the yellow mark. Okay, in the sense it will be covered with the yellow color. Okay, and then comes, this is the first row of our table, right, which contains 9 columns basically. And for these 9 columns, okay, so nothing but we will iterate through the articles. In the sense article, there are like 536 articles if I go to the results. So this is an example output. Okay, so this output contains 583 articles. Those 583 articles will be iterated through something like this. In the sense you're going to create a 583 rows into the table, and that 583 rows data will be captured automatically by this below format. Okay, so that will be covered in the row number from here to here. Okay, so for example, somewhere here, right? Okay, so okay, all right, so basically yeah, so here we are so here if you see, there is another syntax here, that is hash each articles, in the sense for each article. So if you are a coder guy, you would understand what is for each. Okay, so for each articles present in this article list, you will going to create a table record, and the table record data will be dynamic, and the syntax of the data is something like this. You are always opening the 2 square bracket, and this is the syntax. Okay, you need to keep this key for iterating through the list of data, that is hash each, and this is your key name. So the articles, if you see, the article is here. Okay, that, and after that we are keeping hash each, in the sense each articles you go and constitute a row, a table row, right? And table row will contain these data, that is a source ID, source name, author, and you see these are all dynamic data which are opened with 2 flower bracket and closed with 2 flower bracket, right? And finally we are also closing this table row with the syntax called open 2 flower bracket and / each, right? And then finally closing the table. Yeah, and underneath that we are also completing the email with the down last line called please check this email address if you have any queries, and best regard, this is my channel name, right? So this is how we constructed the HTML part of the template. Yeah, then I'm going to show you as well text. Okay, there is another part called text part. In the text part, So if you, so in the above, in the HTML part, you saw all these were being present in the HTML format, right? Now if you remove the HTML part and keep it the only data or text part, this is what it looks. Okay, basically this is what your email looks when it reaches to you. Okay, that is hello username, below are the, this is the first line of your email address, and these are the dynamic data will be fed in the form of a table. Finally it has a salutation, right? It has a final best regard updates, and that's all. So basically these are the, if you feed this kind of input and create a template, you will have usable, reusable email template ready with the SES. Okay, and this is the same syntax is been followed for invoking update template. Okay, you see the template, it contains a template name, subject part, HTML part, and the text part. So here the template name cannot be changed once you create, so make sure that you are not changing the name. Okay, you're just updating the existing template. That's what it means. You can change the subject, HTML part, text, but not the template name, for your information. Okay, so basically this is what create update template does. Okay, basically we are creating a template if it is not there, and we are updating the template if it is there. Okay, so that's what create template does. Once the template is done, then I will go to the next part, that is get all DynamoDB records. As I said, DynamoDB table right now, I'm keeping just DynamoDB table to store my, the email address to which I need to send an email, plus plus a search string, in a sense, plus a business related data, that is a search string. Here the search string belongs to a business data. In the sense, here the solution is to send a dynamic emails to my subscriber. The email addresses are my subscriber, and to that email address I need, for example, if I show this one, let's say you have a DynamoDB table, and in that DynamoDB table you are creating a records like this, that is a serial number, brand, create at, email address. This is the subscriber email, the email subscriber email address. This is the Google search, which is a business data which is needed for to extract the email, extract the news, okay, based on the string, right? And this is the username. Okay, so this is the, so basically when you scan the DynamoDB table, you're gonna get a multiple items. Okay, and those items are being listed here, 2 records basically. Okay, so that is what get DynamoDB records does. Okay, anyways, I'm not going to walk you through this one. I will just quickly walk you through here. Basically you're scanning it, getting the email address, right, and finally returning it. Okay, so basically you are just reading the DynamoDB table and fetching the record in this format and giving as an output. So the get all DynamoDB table results are here now. Okay, so what I am doing is, after that, we are iterating through the each records, in the sense for each items. For example, for this record I want to send an email, right, and with using the advanced email template which we created above, right, and that's what it happens now. For each table item we are getting a news about what, in the sense, since I'm using Python news API module, I'm going to use a news API client. Get the news belongs to a particular search string. Okay, the search string is this one, like football, cricket. Okay, and that is what been fed when you are invoking a get email function. This is a custom function which I written in my class, and this is the search, this is the user being fed, and this is the email. Okay, all right, I will go to the next one. So in the get email, you see we are just creating a news client here with using the news APIs, creating some from data and end date, which is required to invoke the news API. You can go ahead and check how news API works from the Google or from the internet. Yeah, and here we are invoking the get everything, where the search query or search string is something like this, from parameter, end parameter, right, from date and end date, and the language is English, and the relevance. Okay, basically when you hit this endpoint, you will get an news in the form of dictionary, which is an example is something like this. Okay, to avoid all the confusion. So this is how the output of that looks like. We reuse this output and send an email. That is the next logic. Okay, and finally this article, this output is been updated with certain data which is required for me to send an email. And what I'm doing is, I'm just to this email I'm just adding new keys. For example, if I can show you, this is the username, right, username, and the username is something like this, right. So if I go down, so here we are feeding xyz, right. So that's what I'm doing it here dynamically while running the code itself, right. And then Then I'm checking, so basically, I'm just updating the result of the articles, and then to that result articles, to that the result, what I'm doing is I'm just sorting it out. In the sense, we are sorting this result. In the sense, this result, that even this article has to be the news has to be sorted in certain format, right? That's what been done here. So basically, just a data operations. Okay. So here we are sorting this. We are sorting the complete article in the with the the published date. And this is based on this date. So based on whatever the date format you see here, so based on this date, we are sorting it in a descending order. Right? If I go back, so basically you see, I'm just this is the latest news article has to be first, and the oldest news article has to go down. Okay, that is what it does. Yeah, and then right. So basically, and finally we are just returning that particular all articles. Okay, that's what this logic. Anyways, this file will be shared in my GitHub repo, as I said, and you can check it for more details after this as well. I'm just close it off this function and we go next to the logic. Right? So we got a news now, and the news results are being kept it here. And before you invoke the SES template, so the SES template uses the data in the form of a string. Okay, that is how the SES works. So what I need to do is I need to convert this result. In the sense, for example, I want to convert this big body, big JSON format into a string. How do I do that? I need to use the JSON, dump that into, in the sense, dump is nothing but it converts the dictionary into the string basically. Yeah. So this result will be a string basically. In this string, what I'm doing is I'm replacing null to no values. Remember that SES template will not work if your data has some null characters. Okay. So basically, that's the reason what I'm doing is I'm doing some customization. Okay, these are the observations that I have experienced. Okay, so make sure that the data that you are feeding to the dynamic template should not have any null values. Make sure that you replace that null value with the something like this NA or no value. For example, I'm just replacing it with the NA here, not applicable. Yeah, and then finally fire the email. Okay, so this is how I'm doing email. Okay, so email to this from this address to the email address from the DynamoDB table, and this is the final result. The result is here, right? And that's what we are going. So I'm going to go to that email news. This is again the very small function which is actually consumes the the SES template that we created in the function create update email template, right? And it has a parameter like source email address, to email address, and the final result, which is a string. Okay, all right. So this is the SES client send templated email, right? And then we are feeding the parameter like source, destination, template, right? Template data, yeah. And when you hit this one, you will going to get a dynamically fed SES template based emails. Okay, all right. Okay, this is how it works. And then finally, I have the another function called email field transaction. This is as I said, this is a very simple static SES template. The one which we are using, the one I wanted to show is a dynamic advanced template. This is very simple and static template. Okay, so there is a difference here. So here we are sending an email with the templatized emails, and this is another format of SES. Maybe I have already created another video. Maybe you can check it in depth about this one. This is just to send a static data. You are not changing any. You are not feeding some dynamic data like like I did in a template. Okay, so here it contains very few static one. Yeah. So like static in the sense you are just writing this body text like saying like this is what it failed. In sense this email sending is failed for because of this reason. Okay, that is what I'm doing. This is a body text, and that body text has a HTML template body. Okay, and this one we are just using this one. So I'm just going to change this to hello, right? Hello labs, for example. Yeah, and then so then basically so this is the you are constituting the SES template mean for sending the email, right? And then we are sending the, so then basically this is how it is done with the the body template body HTML. Yeah, and then so once you are done with the HTML and body, then comes API underneath SES only called send email. This is a very natural and meant for sending a static emails. Okay, and I'm just constituting this email as well, which is meant to send for just a failure notification of the solution. Yeah, it will send to my email basically. Yeah, make sure that before you send an email, so you need to make this address to be verified. I'm going to explain that as well in the next. Okay, so basically this is how the code is been written. and this code has certain, it has a Python file, it has a lambda layer python.zip file. It also has an example, the example response of the API and the DynamoDB record data. Yeah. All right. Now I will go to my AWS account. So basically I'm going to go to the AWS account. So this is my AWS account, and in this AWS account, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that solution which I explained here. Okay. So basically what we do is we just go to the AWS function or AWS Lambda. I'm currently in my North Virginia region, okay, for your information. So I'm going to create a dummy function now quickly. So I'm going to create a function from the scratch, for example, test function. Yeah. And then runtime, I'm going to keep it very simple, that is 3.7, because the news API works in the 3.7, which I tested. And then in the execution Lambda role, I'm going to use the existing role called ETL Lambda, right? And then create a function. So basically this is how quickly I'm creating a function now. Once the function is been created, I'm going to go to the configurations, make some general configuration changes, because I need to increase the memory and the RAM of the the memory and the ephemeral storage of the Lambda. So basically I'm going to do that. So this is how I'm just updating that. And timeout, let's increase to 15 minutes, which is the maximum run of the Lambda. And then save the changes. Okay. And then what you do is I'm just do a Control A, copy this code, and go to the code button, right? And you're going to replace this code with the whatever I have walked you through, right? And then yes, just click on the deploy, right? So this is the first part. In the sense, we are done with the Lambda setup part. Now I'm going to set up this DynamoDB. This part and the SES part will be done by Lambda itself. Okay. So I'm going to go to the DynamoDB. This is the DynamoDB table. I'm going to create a table with a name. Okay. So if you remember, while I'm walking through the code, I have explained that we are creating a table with a certain name. This is new subscriber is my table name. Okay. So I'm just go to the table. Right. I'm going to create a table now with this one, and the partition key will be SN, that is a serial number, right? That's all. So I'm just keep it very, very simple DynamoDB table, which contains my subscriber records. Okay. So creation of DynamoDB table will take few seconds or at least 30 seconds, right? So before that, before while the table gets created, I'm going to take you to the another part of the Lambda, that is creating the Lambda layer, right? So basically you go to the layer, click on the layers, then click on the create layers, right? Click on the create layers, say the news the news API emails is my layer, and here I'm going to upload a zip file which I have already stored in my local desktop. So yeah, so I'm going to go to this back to the VS Code GitHub repo, then here, and then we have here. So basically this is the Python module. In the sense, basically this is a Lambda layer. This is the Python module which is required to create a Lambda layer. Anyways, this module is also shared in my GitHub repo. You can find it from there and create a Lambda layer like this. Here we're going to choose the architecture equal to cross86_64, runtime equal to 3.7, right? And then create it. So basically, we are creating a Lambda layer required for our Lambda, right? So without this layer, maybe Lambda will fail. Okay, so definitely the Lambda will fail. So make sure that you create a layer like that and attach that layer to our function. So I go back to the function, click on the layer, add the layer again, and in this one you choose the custom layer, and then this is a news API layer version. This is a version, and then click on the add layers. Okay, basically just do like this. So when you click on the add layers, the layer gets attached here. You can see that the layer news API emails layer will get attached. Okay, and now once with this, you are almost set with the Lambda changes. In the sense, the Lambda is ready now to do the job which I explained, something like this. Okay, so you have set this Lambda, which can be invoked by your the solution admin or the solution architect or anything you can call it, a solution developer. You can schedule this Lambda as well. Okay, so once you invoke this Lambda, basically it creates a SES template. It reads the DynamoDB table, it extracts the data from here, it again reuses the template being created by it and sends the email. Okay, that's what we're gonna see now. Now I was initiated, I have initiated the DynamoDB creation. So the DynamoDB is now ready. So in this DynamoDB table, I'm going to add a record. So I'm going to go to the explore table item, and then you see there is nothing here. So I'm going to create the item here. So basically I'm just do that. So to create the DynamoDB records, I will reuse the whatever the email list is there. So if I click this one and this one, so there are two items, right? So basically I'm create the first item, right? So I'm just creating. So this is how. So basically this record will be maintained by your application only. Okay, so create this record, create one more record again. So basically there is another record, so which you can copy it out. So I'm gonna copy this now. So I will just see this is the copy, right? And then go to the JSON views, come here and paste it again. So basically create an item. Yeah, so what I did is, I was fast I think, but I'm going to explain you again. So what I did is I went to the table, DynamoDB table, which we created just now. Into the table, I added two records, which is needed to show you the demo, right? And if I go to the explore table items, you see it contains two records now. So I'll just go to the table items. Underneath this one, so you see there's a serial number 1, 2. So basically, basically these are the record it contains. It contains an email address, Google search string, username. Basically these are the three records will be used by my automation. Yeah, like this you have two records. Okay, now we are all set. Now now the time has come to test the solution. Okay, this is the final stage of the solution. Okay, so stay tight. Okay, now once we run this one, here you see the email address. Okay, so this email address has to be validated in the SES. So if you go to the SES in the verified email address, so this is my verified email address. If I go to the verified email address, this is my verified email address. So I'm going to have the authority to receive the email from here. If you're not, you need to verify the email address. Okay, all right. So now I will go to the test one. So here I'm create a test one, right? And with the normal input data. So create a event called test, which is required to send an email. Okay, so basically now let's go and test my test my solution. Now basically you see it has done. It has actually done its job, right? You see yeah, if I go back to the right, so basically the Lambda has run successfully. Now let me go to my email address. This is my email inbox where I have constructed. Okay, you see the email is been received. Why did I receive two email? Because I have the two records. Okay, so that is what the important point was here. So in this new subscriber, I had two records. Okay, and two records are pointing to my email address. Maybe in the real cases, this email address would be changed according to your customers. Okay, and if I open this one, this emails which is sent to my email inbox, it will tell that it is a spam because the from and to address are same, right? So I will just mark it as a save. And here you go, right? So it is dynamic email. You see, hello Cloud Quick Lab 2, right? Below are the news search string. So we have used football of date, something like this. Yeah, and then it contains the table something like the source, name, author, title. Okay, those are the news articles. Okay, news data of news articles, and it contains so many articles. Okay, so it has retrieved everything, right? So message is copied. So basically if I can click on this one, the message is too big, right? That's the reason email is Google is telling us to view it in some other page. Yeah. So basically this is too big email, and finally you see please check with this address if you have any doubt. Okay, all right. So the email was too big. That's the reason the message was not being seen in this page. When I click on that link, you see this is a complete entire message look like this. Okay, so here whatever the data you see here is been templatized, in the sense the email template is being used to feed this data. In the sense, you think about it, okay, such a huge data you are feeding it dynamically. This is not possible if you are using just a send email. Okay, that send email is very straightforward. It does not has any capability to achieve this one. Okay, and this feature is given in a standard SES template. Okay, and I will go to the next email as well. Basically this is also same like earlier one. Okay, since the email addresses are same to me, that's the reason you see I got this email. So here the username is Cloud Quick Lab 1. Okay, so here the username is Cloud Quick Lab 2, right? That is my channel name. And here search string is cricket. Yeah, and then finally you see I'm getting this data. Yeah, so it looks like there is a big data here. So I'm just open this in another table. Okay, so this is go here you go, right? Okay, So basically this is very big email. Okay, that's the reason it is not coming here. Maybe. So this is how under the hood, this is how you will, under the hood, this is how you use AWS SES email with advanced email template for dynamic data. Yeah, hope that this this video has helped you. Please do subscribe my channel. Once again, I'm requesting you, and also try to see at my membership that where I can provide the services, or you can reach to my email for any kind of services from my side. Yeah, with regards to the technical solution. Yeah, all right. Finally, thank you very much for watching my videos. A kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. So with that note, thank you, thanks a lot, and see you in the next video.